Alice and Jack Chambers are a young happy couple in the 1950s. They live in an idyllic neighborhood of the company town of Victory, California, which has been created and paid for by the mysterious company of the same name for which Jack works. The men work at Victory headquarters every day out in the surrounding desert. At the same time, their wives Alice, Bunny, Peg, Violet and Margaret stay home to clean, relax, and prepare dinner for their husbands. The women are discouraged from asking questions about their husband's work. They have been told not to venture out to headquarters due to the dangerous materials the company works with. While attending a party hosted by Frank, Victory's enigmatic founder and leader, Alice sees Margaret's husband attempting to give her medication. Later, while Alice and Jack secretly have sex in Frank's bedroom, Alice realizes Frank observes them but says nothing. Margaret has become an outcast among the other wives after taking her son out into the desert, resulting in her son's apparent death. She claims that Victory took her son from her as punishment. Still, these claims are dismissed by others as trauma-induced paranoia. One morning, while riding the trolley across town, Alice witnessed a red biplane crash somewhere in the desert. Alice disembarks and rushes into the desert to help, accidentally stumbling on Victory headquarters, a small building covered in mirror-like windows. After touching one of the windows, she experiences surreal hallucinations. Later that night, when she returns home, she finds Jack preparing their dinner. In the following days, Alice begins to experience increasingly strange occurrences. She is almost crushed between a window and a moving wall, and Alice receives a phone call from Margaret, who claims to have seen the same thing she had. Later, during a dance lesson lectured by Frank's wife Shelley, Alice sees a vision of Margaret violently banging her head against a mirror. She rushes back to their neighborhood just in time to see Margaret slit her throat and fall from the roof of her house. Alice is dragged away by strange men in red jumpsuits before she can reach Margaret's body. She attempts to explain the events to Jack. Still, Jack dismisses it, explaining that Margaret fell while cleaning the windows and is perfectly fine. Alice acts strange and tries to commit suicide. Her husband brings the doctor to check on her at home. Dr. Collins claims to have treated Margaret and attempts to give Alice the same prescription drugs. When Dr. Collins opens his bag, she sees his medical file of Margaret. Alice steals Margaret's file and burns it later in frustration. Alice becomes increasingly paranoid and confused as if Frank is watching her every move. During a special Victory event in which Frank gives Jack a special promotion, Alice breaks down in the bathroom and is comforted by Bunny. She attempts to explain everything to Bunny, but Bunny reacts angrily, accusing Alice of being selfish and trying to ruin everything for everyone. She is pointing out she sounds just like Margaret. Sometime later, Alice and Jack invite the rest of the neighborhood, except Bunny and her husband Bill, to dinner, with Frank and Shelley as special guests. Frank speaks privately with Alice in the kitchen, intimating that she's right in her suspicions and confessing that he's been waiting for someone like her to challenge him. Spurred on by Frank's confession, Alice attempts to expose him and the inconsistencies in Victory over dinner. Instead, Frank gaslights her, making her look delusional to the other guests. In the aftermath, Alice begs Jack to take them away from Victory. Jack initially agrees, but when Alice gets in the car, he lets her be taken away by Frank's men. Dr. Collins forces Alice to undergo electroshock therapy. During the procedure, Alice sees visions of herself in another life, as a present-day surgeon named Alice Warren, who lives with the unemployed Jack and struggles to make ends meet. Alice returns to Victory, apparently cured of her hysteria, and reunites with Jack and Bunny. However, as Alice resumes her everyday life, she continues to have hallucinations and flashbacks. She later remembers the whole truth. Victory is a simulated world created by Frank, and Jack kidnaps her and forces her into the simulation in the hope they can lead a perfect life together. When Jack realizes she knows the truth, he claims he did this for her as she was miserable in real life, but Alice is enraged that Jack took away her autonomy. Jack hugs Alice, begging her to forgive him, but he begins to crush her, and Alice kills him with a glass tumbler in self-defense, killing Jack in the real world as well. Frank is alerted to Jack's death and sends his men to capture her. Alice is found with Jack's body by Bunny, who explains that she has known. Victory is a simulation. She chooses to stay to be with her children, who are dead in real life. Bunny tells Alice to flee to Victory headquarters, an exit portal from the simulation. She holds off Bill when he attempts to attack Alice for killing Jack. The other wives gradually begin to realize the truth as their husbands panic. Alice steals Jack's car and drives towards Victory headquarters, chased by Dr. Collins and Frank's men. She tricks Dr. Collins into killing himself and several others in a car crash. Shelley stabs Frank at their house, claiming it is now her turn. Alice makes it to Victory headquarters, where she sees Jack's vision asking her to stay. Alice ignores the vision and rushes to the window just before Frank's men reach her. Over a black screen, the sound of Alice gasping for air is heard, implying she escaped.